House Ag and Natural Resource Budget Committee. We're going to open up a hearing on Senate Bill 347. Dave, would you kind of like to give us an overview?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, committee. Senate Bill 347 amends the statute concerning the Kansas Wildlife and Parks Commission to require that the appointees to the commission would be subject to confirmation by the Senate. The bill provides that confirmation by the Senate is to preserve the rights guaranteed by Section 21 of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the State of Kansas. That's the right of the public to hunt, fish, and trap wildlife. I would point out that the effective date on this Bill 347 is publication in the register, so you'll end effect a little sooner than most of the bills. The Senate did not make any amendments to Senate Bill 347, and they passed it on final action by a vote of 24-16. I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave, do you have that Constitution with you where you could just read that section to us?
I do not have that section of the Constitution. I could probably pull it up real fast, though, but I don't have it on.
I'd like to hear, I didn't read it, so I'd like to hear it read if that would be all right. We can go on without, we can proceed, but thank you, Mr. Chair.
So Dave, we'll kind of move on a little bit. When you're ready to say something, just kind of give me the thumbs up and we'll just take a break and let you read that. Representative?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, Dave, I'm catching up here with you. So basically, this bill will require confirmation from the Senate of the members. Does it change in this bill? Is this changing the makeup and the appointing authority as well, or is it just changing the Senate confirmation part?
It is just changing the Senate confirmation. The membership would still be the 7 members appointed by the governor, but then those appointees by the governor would be subject to Senate confirmation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Good job. We heard a lot of people that were opponents here that one Friday were here, but is there any proponents here today that would like to say anything? Any opponents? Any neutrals? Representative Secretary Lovelace.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman Corbett, members of the committee. I really didn't intend to speak. I submitted some written testimony. Basically, our perspective on this is this doesn't exactly fit with the standards for which committees and boards that the Senate confirms. Typically, those have either fiduciary responsibilities or administrative responsibilities. And our Wildlife and Parks Commission, as Representative Carpenter is well aware of, is responsible for setting regulations, right? So it's a more narrow responsibility than the other 15 or so committees that are required to be confirmed by the Senate. The second point is we feel like our commission has worked very effectively over time, and the results kind of speak for themselves. But at the same time, we understand there's a desire to have a little more say in this by the legislature, and we understand that. We feel like the system's working well so far, and so that's why we're neutral on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for the Secretary? Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I should know this because I've done the budget a long time, but are they paid anything? Are they given mileage or anything?
Just reimbursed for their expenses, correct.
So could they get a hotel? Yeah. If you took the board to another place and they needed a hotel, you would pay.
Right.
So expenses.
There are a few meetings throughout the year. The Western States Organization invites commissioners to come if they choose, and so that would be a time when they're paid for more travel.
Seems to me like I know that they're pretty much scattered throughout the state right now, but there's no requirement for that, or is there?
There is a requirement that the governor appoint that be balanced based on political party as well as the locations around the state. So,
thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Secretary Lovelace? Thank you, Secretary. And next up is Representative Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not submit any testimony, but if I'm given the opportunity, I'll kind of weigh in. I'm neutral. I support this. I think that if the Senate confirmation adds a level, the big concern about this whole thing has been that these folks make decisions for hunters and fishermen, and they need to be a consumptive member of that. And so I think what's happened is, and I know this from past experience, a lot of times it's a political appointment. You get a lot of parks people on there and stuff like that that aren't consumptive fishermen or hunters, and they don't know. They're making policy decisions, quite frankly, that they don't even know about because they don't hunt or fish. And so I support this right now with a minor change, amendments and some things like that. But if it gets very far off the rails, I won't support it. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah. Would anybody like to hammer?
Feel free.
Yeah.
I think I can take it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would you care to disclose what your minor change would be, or would you rather wait till another time?
No, there's an amendment, and Representative Moser has it. So what I found is when I was on the Wildlife and Parks Commission, for instance, they don't elect chairman at all. So the chairman that was on there when I came on had been on there for, I have no idea how long. And so they don't elect chairman.
They continue using this current chair.
What's
they
that?
Just continue with the chair.
They do.
They don't have an expiration.
Right.
Okay.
And the current chairman, Gerald Lauber, has been on there for, I have no idea how long. I always thought that when I was on the commission that was not a very good model. I think that they should change chairs and have a different chair and a different perspective and all that kind of stuff. And so my amendment, which Representative Moser is going to present, is just that they select a new chair every 2 years on even years. And I think that would take care of that, the situation and I would support that. If it goes any farther off the rails, probably not going to support it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions?
Got off pretty easy today.
I did. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who'd like to either be proponent, opponent, or neutral? Any written that we have, Josh? Okay. From who? From so do you all see? Okay. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Oh, Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, in response to Representative Carlin's question about Section 21 of the Bill of Rights, that was adopted by the voters in November of 2016, and it is the right of the public to hunt, fish, and trap wildlife. And it reads, the people have the right to hunt, fish, and trap, including by the use of traditional methods subject to reasonable laws and regulations that promote wildlife conservation and management, and that preserve the future of hunting and fishing. Public hunting and fishing shall be a preferred means of managing and controlling wildlife. This section should not be construed to modify any provision of law relating to trespass, property rights, or water resources.
Thank you, Dave, very much. I appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
I believe that passed pretty overwhelmingly, I think. So, let's close the bill hearing. Would there be a motion to work this today and try to get it out? And Representative Garber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to work Senate Bill number 347.
And would Could we get make a motion to suspend the rules to get it out today?
I get a second. Have to get a second.
Okay,
You have to have a second, you have to
Okay.
have discussion, you have to have a vote.
Yeah. okay. Need a second on his? Okay. Discussion on the bill.
Mr. Chair,
Representative?
I'm just looking at the testimony in our file, and I noticed that the backcountry hunters and anglers are opposing, but I haven't had a chance to see why. So just call that to the body's attention, and the Nature Conservancy is neutral on it. And you know, while it might not make a whole lot of difference in the outcome, I see no reason to do this, but that's my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative, when you refer to do this, what's that mean to me?
I see no reason to change the way the structure of the board and add it to the Senate confirmation calendar. Thank you.
Representative Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what does it do in adding the Senate confirmation? I'm not sure exactly. It seems like we're looking for a problem to solve with a lot of these issues. But so what does that do? Does that create a delay? I'm looking at the boards that currently require Senate confirmation, and so I'm not sure that this really fits with that. So I'm not sure what we think we're going to solve by adding an additional requirement with Senate confirmation.
If you were here, I can't believe, maybe it wasn't last Friday when we were doing 2582. I mean, this room was just packed with concerns about Senate confirmation and oversight. And I think what that does is, since there are SGF dollars involved with wildlife and parks, I don't see what it would hurt to have some elected personnel just kind of do a lookabout on them, just to make sure they think they're a good fit for what they're doing.
Okay. When you look at the current makeup of our commission, you know, I listened in on that deliberation and the hearing that day, and it seemed to be more of people who were not perhaps in agreement with some of the policies that were being adopted. But when you look at the makeup of the commission today, it seems like it hits all of the marks as far as providing diversity. And so I'm not sure what the Senate confirmation would be looking at that would be different than what we have today, because they're going to make sure that people, I would think, would have some frame of reference, and also have that diversity that we need so that we have all the voices at the table. So I'm just not sure what the Senate confirmation adds.
The current way it appears to me, Representative, is currently you have one set of eyes picking and choosing. By going before the Senate, you've got people from all over the state who have been elected to be there and to see what's there and just kind of, so if they go back to their constituency, they can say, yeah, this person we kind of vetted them. They've really got the best interest for wildlife in Kansas, and I don't see to be no harm, no foul. I'm just saying that it might be just a better lookabout. Representative Cyrus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's a pretty good idea to have some oversight, because when you have one agency that has only government over it, and an agency that's dealing with all personal private property across the state from border to border, not government property, but private property. I believe an elected official, which would be the Senate, should have some oversight on some of the rules and regulations and decisions that are being made. Otherwise, they would not be having any representation from the people that have no control over who's making rules and decisions for their property without an elected official. That's why I feel it's a checks and balance that kind of make it easy. You know, it's like a housing commission. If you live in town or an HOA, you know, some people don't like the way HOAs do it. And if you live on the city, you got to do what the city says. So it's a little bit for the people out in the county that have no control of what the regulations are to have an oversight and the speech.
Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do like the aspect of perhaps addressing the issue of a chair being in, placed in a permanent position. I think that is a healthier situation when you're able to like rotate that somewhat. So I do like that idea if that amendment is offered. That does make sense to me. But I'm wondering if they could not do that already without. I'm not sure how they're really structured. And then I guess my other question too is in Senate confirmation, what happens if they're not confirmed? How does that work? Can somebody walk us through that Senate confirmation?
Dave, would you have any comments on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, if a commission member would not be confirmed by the Senate, then that member could not serve on the commission, would not be able to have any powers or duties under the Wildlife and Parks Commission. That would have to be a new appointment subject to that confirmation.
And then Dave, is the Senate limited on what reasons that they can then deny an appointment, or are they unlimited and they can deny it just simply because they think that person perhaps represents the park side versus the hunting side more so?
Mr. Chair, the Senate would not be limited in any sort of way. It would just be if a majority of the senators voted not to confirm for whatever reasons. I mean, subject to any potential Senate rules that they might place on that or any statute. But right now, there is no restriction to that effect.
That would appear to me to push us much more into the political realm versus, following science and our experts in managing our wildlife and parks. And so that is my concern, is that I don't think we want to make this a political body. We want them to follow the advice of the science and experts and be able to manage the herd in a way that Kansas continues to be a state that is held up as one that is a very desirable place to come to do those. And it's because of our ability to manage that we've attained that status. That's my understanding. I'm probably beyond my knowledge here, but that's my understanding. And so I'm concerned about the Senate confirmation because they could pretty much reject anybody based on anything. And we know how that pressure can build sometimes. And I think that puts us more into a political decision versus a decision on what is best for our wildlife and parks.
Just for a comeback representative, currently it is political. Some are Democrats, some are Republicans. But there's no, as far as I know, there's no educational or background of why someone currently the governor would pick. So some are D's, some are R's. All this does is it might even be less political because you'd have R's and D's in the Senate from different parts of the state that would have questions that might be able to get answered. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another thing I noticed when I look at the boards that are confirmed by the Senate, and I was once confirmed by the Senate, and boy, what a process. It was a long time. It was a long wait, and I had to have fingerprints in the whole business, and I was successful. But this board, these boards deal with great deal amount of state general fund. Now, in the future, if we keep cutting the budget for parks and wildlife, we will be investing more state general fund for sure, because we're not going to let it go away. We're going to have to spend money to keep it up. But the current way we've been handling our finances has been successful. Some of the bills we've passed out of here would decimate that. But these boards require a great deal of expertise in an area and a great deal of financial responsibility. And that is the very biggest difference I see, because we do not have that state general fund money in this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Dave, would this be a proper time for you to pass out the amendment? I guess, okay, I have an amendment. Right.
Whoa, it's all over the place.
I got one. No,
This is something else.
yeah. His is coming up later.
Okay.
Okay. David, do you want to give go over this a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, on the balloon here, there's several things happening. The first would be, the current Wildlife and Parks Commission as it's constituted on, December 31st, 2024 would be abolished on January 1st, 2025. So the existing members would not be, would no longer serve any terms. There would then be a new Wildlife and Parks Commission established on January 1, of 2025. And then of that newly constituted commission, there would be still 7 members. 4 would be appointed by the governor. 1 would be appointed by the Speaker of the House. 1 appointed by the President of the Senate, and 1 appointed by the Attorney General. And each of those respective appointing authorities would make their initial appointments to the commission on or before January 17th, 2025. And then they would still, each respective appointing authority shall continue to appoint a resident of the state to be on the commission, and they would still all be subject to confirmation by the Senate as provided in the underlying Senate Bill 347. The remaining balloons here are really just kind of striking references to the governor to, and then inserting. Okay. Well, then if you go down to line 19 and 20 there on page 1, they're striking the governor and now inserting each respective appointing authority shall give consideration to the appointment of licensed hunters, fishermen, fur harvesters. And then line 25, striking the governor and then inserting each respective appointing authority. That same amendment is on line 29. So now it would be, instead of the governor, it's each respective appointing authority. And then this is in terms of removing a commissioner after opportunity for a hearing in accordance with the Kansas Administrative Procedure Act. So then there's lines 31 and 33, again striking the governor and inserting respective appointing authority. And then on the back page of the balloon, there, page 2 of the bill, this gets to the election of the chairperson. So then line 10 there, subsection E, would be the members of the commission shall elect 1 commission member to serve as chairperson of the commission for a term not to exceed 2 years. So that would be the remaining amendment there, Mr. Chairman.
Committee, questions? Representative?
Am I misreading this, or is there no minority appointment on this board?
Mr. Chairman, if you look at lines, page 1 there, lines 22 and 23, this is current law that not more than a majority of the members shall be of the same political party, so there would have to be some balancing of the majority and minority parties in the appointments.
Thank you, David. The issue is that whoever is in the majority, which it may very well change the next 2 years, the minority party still should have a voice in appointing. Every board I've ever worked with in 22 years has had a mix. Somebody from the minority leadership makes appointments as well, and so I can't support this.
Representative?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you remind me what the vote was in the Senate on Senate Bill 347?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the vote on the Senate vote on 347 was 24-16.
24-16? Okay. This is definitely a different amendment than I was expecting. I thought we were talking about just appointing the chair, but this changes this. With this amendment, we are going back to previous bills that we have been discussing. This changes the whole makeup of the KWDP, the appointing authorities. And again, I just think that this is, we're looking for a problem. This changes entirely Senate Bill 347. So I'm very concerned about that and probably not in favor of doing that.
Any other questions or discussion? Pardon? I move my amendment and close.
You need a second.
Second.
Oh, well, maybe not. Sorry about that. No, we already had the second. I apologize. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Where are we at now, Dave?
Ready to vote?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Back on the bill.
See another discussion?
Any other discussion? Pardon?
You introduced the bill, Randy.
Randy, did you we okay.
You may close.
Go ahead. What
Discussing.
Yeah, I think so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass out Senate Bill 347 as amended.
Representative.
I think we should let the public hear this before we vote on this. In this building, we do a lot of things fast, but we're not on a fast track right now. There's a lot of things going on, and we've got a lot of time before we vote to the end of this session. And I really believe from the emails I got over the last couple of weeks, I would really think some other people would like to have a chance at us, even though they weren't here today, to see what we are doing to their hunting and fishing. And I think we should wait. Schedule it and announce it to the public.
So committee, would I move it suspend the rules and try to get this passed out and work today. We need And all in favor of that, say aye.
You gotta say second.
Oh, need a second. I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
I think I just said mine.
Seeing none. Seeing none.
Seeing none. Those in favor of passing this out today, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. No.
The ayes have it. Passed out.
Did everybody vote, sir?
Would you like to ask for division?
I would.
Okay. For those who were no on the vote, raise your hands.
No.
How many did you have, Dave? Or who's counting?
Well, it's not real hard to count. There's 3 of us.
3 to 3.
And there's 4 of you.
This is gonna take a 2/3 to work the same day, so you have to have 6.
Don't have 6.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, that's exactly
So-
right, because of spending rules.
We're suspending the rules, so it would take, what, 2/3? So it takes 6 to work it today.
So we can't work it today. We'll bring it up next week.
Is that what, that's our option?
Bring it up at the next meeting. And you can just take a simple majority.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you, sir. So it looks like we're gonna have at least one more meeting. Representative, you say something? No. Yeah, I'm good. So unless there's more discussion, we're adjourned.
Thank you.